Chapter 3 of NCERT Water Resources. Around 70% of the Earth's surface is composed of water, including fresh water as well as saline water, which is salty water. So, the source of fresh water, which is of human consumption or which is used by human beings, comes from various sources like polar ice caps, glaciers, surface runoffs. Surface runoffs are basically the water which flows on the surface of the earth, like rivers, lakes, etc. And groundwater is also another important source of fresh water, which includes groundwater aquifers as well as water which is found in the wells. Frozen water, which is in the form of glaciers and ice caps, are another form of fresh water. Even rainwater is fresh water. Artificial sources of water includes desalinated seawater, which is also a source of fresh water. Even though maximum percentage of the earth is water, as well as water is a renewable energy, which means it can be renewed again and again. Yet there are certain places which have scarcity of water or which are suffering from water shortages and scarcity. There are places on the earth's surface which are deserts or which are dry lands where the rainfall is less than 10 inches or 25 centimeters annually. The precipitation is so low that there is high scarcity of water. These are the drought prone areas where there is dry conditions. Over the years, women in Rajasthan have been traveling over long distances carrying mud cars which were filled with water, and they had been carrying the mud cars from oases to their households, walking over long distance. There are places on this earth where there is excessive availability of water. There are rivers, there are other forms of runoffs, lakes, ponds, and there is also ample amount of precipitation, excessive amount of precipitation or rainfall which causes floods. And there are some regions which have scarcity of water, which also affects the food supply in those regions, because we largely depend upon water for our agriculture requires water for irrigation. Even there is scarcity of water in those regions where there is over exploitation and a lot of population. High densities of population, as well as in big cities where there is clusters of population, lots of people living in those big cities, there is always a scarcity of water because mostly people overexploit the water. There is also unequal distribution of water. The rich people have more access to water as compared to the poor ones. Even personalized boring or extraction of groundwater leads to decline in the groundwater levels. Water stress is a term which is used to describe a condition where there is availability of water between 1000 to 1600 cubic meter per person per year. In ancient times, people, in order to conserve water, especially in those areas where there was less rainfall, they used to construct hydraulic structures and infrastructures like dams, which were built on stone rubbles, reservoirs, lakes, embankments, as well as canals for irrigation to provide water to the fields when there was less rainfall. In modern times, we have many river valley projects and multi-purpose projects where dams are constructed on rivers in order to obstruct the excessive flow of the rivers as well as the rainwater and prevents flooding. The excessive water is then held in the dams as a reservoir. During dry conditions or drought conditions, this water is used for irrigation purposes, even for domestic as well as industrial purposes. The water which is reserved in the dams are also used for electricity generation. Another method of water retention or storage of water for future usage is rainwater harvesting. In mountains or hilly areas where there is higher elevation, people build small diversion or channels or small gulls and cools. These are small gullies through which rainwater can move and diversify in the agricultural lands. Another way or method of rainwater harvesting is rooftop rainwater harvesting. Rainwater harvesting is a method commonly used in Rajasthan and other arid regions. Mainly, the water is stored for drinking and for other domestic purposes. Tankas or tanks are made on the compound, in the courtyard, or on the roof, where the water is collected from the rainfall. In certain areas where the temperatures are very high, like Bikaner in Barmar, in those areas, the water which is stored in the tanks in the rooftops are used for cooling the rooms during the hot summers.